So you've got Istio up and running on EKS. That's awesome. But now what? I mean, that's just day one, the easy part, right? What happens on day 30 or day 300? Today, we're going to skip past the Hello World install and get right into the tough stuff, how to actually sustain a service mesh in production. We're talking about the critical world of day two operations.
Okay, let's get real for a second. On the one hand, you've got the day one dream, the shiny brochure version, seamless traffic management, MTLS everywhere like magic, and this incredible observability. But then there's the day two reality. And it can feel like a minefield of risky upgrades, your config slowly drifting into chaos, and policies sprawling all over the place. That gap between the dream and the reality, that's where operations teams live.
Of all the challenges you'll face on day two, there's one that really keeps engineers up at night: upgrading the Istio control plane. Think about it. It touches every single service in your mesh. One wrong move and the consequences can be, well, catastrophic. So how do you do it right? Well, the best practice is to be super methodical, super cautious. First, you validate the new version on a staging cluster, one that's basically a mirror of production. You're hunting for any breaking changes or performance issues. Once you're sure it's solid, you move to step two, a canary rollout in production. You're just dipping your toe in the water here, targeting a couple of non-critical namespaces and watching the metrics like a hawk. And only after that canary proves itself stable do you even think about the final step, the full production deployment. That whole process sounds pretty foolproof, doesn't it? I mean, it's designed to catch problems early, to limit the blast radius. But here's the thing. What happens when something slips through all those safety checks? What happens when the plan, as perfect as it seems on paper, completely fails?
Let me tell you a story. This is a real-world cautionary tale about a routine upgrade that turned into a full-blown, all-hands-on-deck incident. And it's a perfect illustration of the hidden complexities that can be lurking just under the surface of your mesh. Okay, so picture this. It's the middle of the night during a planned maintenance window. The team is following the playbook to the letter. All the pre-flight checks on the staging cluster, green across the board. The canary namespace in production, it's been running smooth as silk for over an hour. So, feeling confident, they pick off the full production rollout. Everything is going exactly according to plan. And then, disaster. As one engineer on the team later put it, their blast radius wasn't contained. The canary was supposed to be their safety net, right? But what nobody knew was that a single, older, misconfigured authorization policy hiding out in a completely different namespace had a hidden incompatibility with the new Istio version. The second the full upgrade hit, it activated that little time bomb. And just like that, poof. 3 critical customer-facing services just vanished. And this timeline just shows how fast it all unraveled. The upgrade starts at 2 a.m. Just 15 minutes later, the pagers start screaming. It then took another 30 frantic minutes of troubleshooting just to realize the root cause wasn't even in the canary services they were watching. By 3:30 a.m., a full hour and a half after they started, the team finally managed to complete the rollback. It was a painful lesson in just how fragile a complex system can be. But that painful incident became this huge catalyst for change. The team shifted their entire mindset. They went from a reactive firefighting mode to a proactive one, focused on building real, solid guardrails into their process to make sure failure like that could never, ever happen again. One of the most important new guardrails they put in place was something called policy linting. So what is that? Well, you can think of it like a spell checker for your configuration files. It's an automated process that runs in your CI/CD pipeline, and it scans every Istio config for errors, for deprecated fields, or for anything that doesn't follow your team's best practices. And it does this before that code ever gets close to production. And what's so brilliant about this is how each new guardrail directly addressed the root cause of the failure. They created centralized templates to stop misconfigurations from happening in the first place. That policy linting we just talked about, it would have caught that bad policy automatically. They also hardened their namespace isolation and standardized how teams could request custom behaviors, which prevented those dangerous one-offs from threatening the whole system. So what can the rest of us take away from all this? Let's try and distill the lessons from this whole journey into a practical framework, a checklist that you can use for your own service mesh operations. Okay, this checklist really captures what a mature approach to day two ops looks like. You've got to have that multi-stage upgrade plan. You absolutely must automate your configuration validation with policy linting that's non-negotiable. Establish central templates for consistency, but also have a clear process for when teams need something custom. Regularly audit for config drift. And finally, please document everything, especially your rollback procedures. You do not want to be figuring that out for the first time during a 3 a.m. outage.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. It's one thing to get a service mesh up and running, but the real work, the work that separates a successful, stable implementation from a fragile one, is all in the careful, deliberate practice of day 2 operations. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Is your service mesh just installed, or is it truly, sustainably operational?